My name is Therese Stevenson, and I proudly serve as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at California State University, Fresno. I am a recent transplant from Columbus, Ohio, and I received my bachelor's degree in economic management and Black World Studies from Ohio Wesleyan University, and received my master's degree in college student personnel from Wright State University. And I am currently finishing up my doctoral program in educational leadership and organizational development. I've been in the field, I've been in higher education for 25 plus years. And on my bucket list is to see Beyonce and Bruno Mars. And I'm the proud fur parent of a cat named Mimi. And I'm also a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. What brings me in today is I received an invitation to come and share my story from Mr. Randall. I'm so glad he invited me. It gives me opportunity to meet young people and students and hear from them, as well as share my story and hope they can relate, hopefully inspire them and motivate them. But more importantly, just for them to know I understand where they're coming from, and I just want to be of support and assistance in their growth and development. Always pursue something that can assist you can fall back on. So either have a mobile career, a barber, a chef, a mortician, or even a mechanic, but then always follow up with some courses that you can fall back on if necessary. So take an accounting course, take an English course, but don't be afraid to pursue education. And more importantly, don't shy away from being a lifelong learner. So, because in order to move forward in life, you have to learn your history. And that's Sankofa is the term that is used. It's Swahili for knowing thyself. So you should know your history so you can understand your present and then move forward into your future. So I always encourage students to continue to learn, continue to read, and that will help you to grow and develop. Yes, I'll share my three my meme quotes that the students seem to love, which is always hustle. So your bank account looks like a phone number. People always use drama as oxygen. Show them who you are and suffocate them. And don't wait on nobody and don't hate on nobody. Yes, I want to say thank you to the students for inviting me to come in and share my story with you. Welcome to come. I will come back anytime to help with any type of workshop, whether that's about applying to college or getting ready for college or just about life in general. Always willing to come back and be a part of the conversation. And I want to thank Mr. Randall for a great invitation. And I want to thank Mr. Ellis and Mr. Jones for sitting with me on the panel as they helped it be wonderful. And I learned a lot, not only about them, but about Fresno as well. Go Dogs. Sure, you can follow me on DOSAT Fresno State. That's DOSAT Fresno State. I'm on IG. And you can also email me at tstevenson, that's STEVENSON, at csufresno.edu. Or just ask Mr. Randall and he'll give you all my contact information.
Yes, my name is Ellery Ellis, and I work for the California Department of Transportation, District 6. I'm a project engineer. I've worked for Caltrans for the past 20 years. I also graduated from California State University, Fresno in 1993 with a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering. I was born and raised here in Fresno. I attended Edison High School. And I also do things for my union. I'm a president of the Fresno Engineers in the state government. I've been the Fresno section leader for a while now. And I also am a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I've just always enjoyed technical engineering, and I enjoy talking to young kids. I appreciate that opportunity to come out and speak to the young minds and just impress upon them the importance of higher education. The one thing the advice I would give the students is, first of all, not to give up. Don't think any career is out of your reach. Every career is within your reach. All you have to have is a desire and the curiosity. Keep the curiosity, because the curiosity prompts you to ask questions. Don't be bold to ask those questions. You know, there are people around who want to impart that knowledge, and there are obstacles that are going to be in the way. But at the same time, look for those opportunities. Anytime an opportunity comes for you, that comes your way, seize the opportunity to be able to learn. I think the biggest set of advice that I would give parents for their kids. I know life is very busy for most parents, have to work nowadays. It's hard to spend that time, but encouraging your kids to learn, pointing them in a direction to get tutoring, to get help, to be present for them, because there are a lot of things when they're that young. They're facing a lot of different obstacles, so being present, and if you can afford them any opportunity with all the programs that they have here, enroll your kids. My mother was a strong advocate of Head Start. I was in Head Start programs. She really participated in school and told me about how important education is. Education is a great equalizer. So I didn't know exactly what she meant. As I got older and got into higher education and afforded greater opportunities, I realized that, yes, that makes sense. So as a parent, it's just important that you kind of pay attention to what your kids are going through. Nurture them in whatever career they would like to do. Just ask them questions about what would you like to be, and give them that fuel to not give up and pursue everything that comes to your mind. Well, I have them to, when African People's History Month comes in, I would encourage them just to look at documentaries, understanding your history. I know for the longest amount of time, I didn't understand how deep African American history or African history goes. I really learned a lot about African history in college, not in high school. So I would encourage that, because knowing exactly where your ancestry comes from and achievements that are made, that fosters a pride in you, and it also fosters you an understanding that you are able to do things, that you have a legacy of kings and queens and professional scientists. That really will solidify your ability to stay when you get into tough situations or anything like that. Understand, I first like to just share my gratitude to my fraternity brother Dennis Randall for just giving me the opportunity to come and speak today, and I would encourage the importance of being able to relay what you've gone through to help the younger generation come up. There are so many things that they face and have to do, so it's important to make sure you give them the tools to maneuver through their careers and have them be able to develop their own trails other than yours, but just be be there for that sound advice to keep them moving to reach the stars, their goals that they want to attain.
So I'm Carlton Jones. I'm a Fresno firefighter. I've been in Fresno for 22 years. I started my fire career in the city of Tulare, which is my hometown and where I currently live. I was there 8 years, so this year makes 30 years in the fire service. So I was also a council member for 12 years. The first time I got invited to come speak here at Washington Union, I had just become mayor of my hometown, and it was definitely a big deal for my family, a big deal for my community, and a big deal for the African American community. Right when that happened, I got inducted into the Central Valley African American Museum as a trailblazer. I was honored with the New Life Community Church in Tulare. They gave me a Heritage Award. I was given an award by Southern California Edison, And naturally, I was already doing a lot of public speaking. The opportunity came up here to be a part of this event. And since then, it's been one of my favorite events to come to, because you're talking to kids that are in that transitional period of life where they're going to be slowly stepping out from the childhood of being under a parent to that first step of adulthood. And just like someone gave me a positive message when I hit that transition, I would love to just say something to a kid that will encourage them to be the best person they can be. And this, it's not like I'm talking to 5-year-olds where it's just stop, drop, and roll. I'm not talking to people in the middle of their career where it's just a little encouragement. That transitional period right now is where you catch them and you can really save a life, or just save a career, or just encourage someone to get on track, and we turn them into soldiers to do the same thing for other people. And Washington Union has a lot of good kids that I feel are going to be soldiers out there changing the world. For parents in the community, you have to be a nosy parent, and you have to be willing to change and grow, just like we expect our kids to change and grow. And as a parent of 8, and they're all different, the worst mistake we can make as parents is to expect our kids to have the same life lessons we have and make the same decisions that we will make. At 50 years old, I think a lot different than I did when I was 30. And at 30 years old, I thought a lot different than I did when I was 15. And as long as you're a parent and you don't forget that your 15-year-olds are gonna make 15-year-old mistakes. Your 12-year-old is gonna be just as influential as you were at 12 years old. And the world that they're in today is so much different than our world. So, just continue to love them. You don't have to beat them over the head with, not just physically, but just with ridicule and shame. I stopped asking my kids things like, what's wrong with you? Because sometimes they don't know. And now what I do is, if I can't reach them, sometimes one of my friends can, or one of their aunts and uncles can. So instead of me saying, what's wrong with you, I encourage them to find help and try to help them. And I also go out and get help to help my kids. And I don't know what it's going to be like at 50. I don't know what it's going to be like to be 60 or 70. So when that generation starts talking, I'll be quiet and listen. I have my son, he's 25 now, and we have a great relationship, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be in his life when he turns 30. So, I look to other men or other relationships who, as a 75-year-old man, what's your relationship with your 40-year-old son? And I try to learn from that. And so I tell parents, just like we don't want our kids to stop learning. As parents, we can't stop learning, and learn how to, where you're going to fit in your kids' lives. And sometimes the hardest thing for parents is when their kids become an adult, it's up to the kids to determine that, where we fit into their lives. And we hope we have a foundation. We've built a foundation of family to where it's still a close-knit relationship between you and your kids. Always be someone that they are first, that you become the first person they come to for advice. If they're in relationships, you have to encourage them that that's your number one, and I'm your backup. And that's what was taught to me, and I hope to leave that message with the parents and the kids. I always tell kids, don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to change. Well, that message never changed. I tell parents the same thing, and I tell myself the same thing. Never be afraid to ask for help, and never be afraid to change. Like, afraid to grow, change, become a better version of yourself. And sometimes going back to what you used to be is a better version of yourself. Well, for the students that didn't show up today, you missed some good food. It's the messages are always good, and it's always a powerful panel of people. You know, I always thank Washington Union for inviting me and letting me be my 100% honest self. Today, Kylie asked me some tough questions, tougher than she ever had before. So, yeah, it got a little emotional in there, but it definitely grabbed the attention of the kids. So, just in these type of meetings, I would love to sit and talk with those kids for hours. But you know, life is on a schedule. And so if you missed today and you see the video, check out the footage. Remember, I kept my promise. I told you guys I was gonna bring food and gifts. I brought the food and gifts. You promised me that you would listen to Martin Luther King's Blueprint. So I'll give you a break this year. If I'm gracious, if Washington Union will have me back next year, I'm gonna remind you guys before I come, let's listen to that speech. And my question to you guys are gonna be, what did you get out of it and how can you apply that to your life? Yeah, I have everything, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the BXC Custom Shoes, which is my son and his friend's company. They have their pages on Instagram where you can see us actually making the shoes. We waited to give Kylie and Ashton their shoes, and then we'll post like how they came together and the messages I got from Mr. Randall of what the shoes should look like, and I hope we hit it for them. I hope they're something that they can wear, and especially like, you know, graduations, remind them of their high school time here, and then there'll be something that they can put up as trophies and keep forever as a keepsake. But if you missed it, come back. Like I said, I always try to be better tomorrow than I was yesterday, so there's no telling what I'm gonna do next year. The prizes will be bigger, and hopefully the food will be just as great. Thank you to Washington Union. Thank you to Mr. Randall. Thank you to the kids that allowed me to come spend a little time with you today. Have a blessed rest of this year and a wonderful future. And thank you for this light to make me look good, hopefully.
Okay, so we have Ellery Ellis. Okay, and I am pleased to introduce Ellery Ellis. He is a civil engineer and has been employed by Caltrans as a transportation engineer for over 20 years. During that time, he has worked as a project manager, a project engineer, and acting senior transportation engineer. Currently, he works for the organization as a project manager. He presently manages over 25 roadway projects throughout Fresno and Tulare counties. The most recent freeway design he served as a project engineer on was the widening of Route 99 through the city of Madera. He now serves as the project manager on the Route 41 4-lane expressway project from Elkhorn Avenue to Excelsior Avenue. He has been a licensed engineer with the Professional Board of Engineers and Land Surveyors since 2002. He received his Bachelor's of Science degree in Civil Engineering in 1993. He was born and raised in Fresno and is a graduate of Edison High School. He is a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, BACRAC, okay, for the past 36 years. He is also currently the president of the Fresno section of the Professional Engineers in State Service Union, which locally has a membership of over 600 state engineers and scientists. He has been an accomplished Toastmaster over 20 years, which has helped him develop his public speaking skills, along with providing strong interpersonal communication skills. Finally, his motivation throughout his career has been to achieve positive results through hard work, integrity, teamwork, and using a proactive approach. I am pleased to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ellery Ellis. Get on bed, y'all. Y'all can clap now. Come on now. Come on now. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So next we have Dean Stevenson. In her current role as Associate Vice President of Student Affairs, I'll start over. In her current role as Associate Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, Therese works closely with university stakeholders. To create a holistic learning environment. increase student retention and persistence, and employ supportive wraparound services for students. With over 25 years of experience in student affairs, Cherie has served in various capacities, including leading offices in the areas of residence life, leadership and engagement, judicial and conduct, and diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. She has been invited to serve as keynote speaker and panelist for numerous organizations and institutions on topics of leadership, engagement, student development theory, and belonging at professional conferences such as National Conference on Race, Diversity, and Learning and Campus Compact. A native Ohioan, Cherie received her Bachelor of Science degree from Ohio Wesleyan University, majoring in Economic Management and Black World Studies, and earned her master's degree in Education and Higher Education Administration and Student Development from Wright State University. She is a proud fur parent, a godmother, the youngest of 9. Seeing Bruno Mars and Beyonce are on her bucket list, and she's an avid TikTok viewer. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Stevenson. Carlton, brother, it's long, brother. I don't know if we'll be able to get to all of it. All right. Okay, next we have Carlton Jones, City of Fresno Fire Department. Okay, born and raised in Tulare, California by his grandmother, Carlton attended local schools, including Lincoln and Maple Elementary, Mulcahy Middle School, and Tulare Western High School. His college education includes College of Sequoias, Fresno City College, and Sacramento State University, where he earned a scholarship in track and field. Carlton played high school football. He was a 2-time first-team All-League defensive player. During his senior year, he was named the MVP of the undefeated track and field team. As a student athlete, Carlton frequently visited neighboring cities for sporting events. From those visits, he came to realize that communities in our area were very similar to each other and different from the cities outside of the Central Valley. In high school, Carlton was elected by his peers as vice president of the Black Student Union for the Central California chapter. 1992, 1 year out of high school, Carlton was given the Distinguished Service Citizens Award by Police Chief Roger Hill for rescuing a lady from an attempted rape and murder. In 1994, Carlton became a motivational speaker in local high schools. He has continued to speak at schools, including La Sierra Military Academy and Fresno State University. As a member of the Tulare Kiwanis Club, Carlton traveled to Tijuana, Mexico with a group of his colleagues to deliver funds and supplies to child orphanage. Ladies and gentlemen, firefighter Carlton Jones. Now, before we get into our question, and I'll also announce this, guys. I know the bell's going to ring at 1:40. Okay, I do have passes for everyone, so we are going to go past that 1:45. If you want to be, or excuse me, if you don't want to be late to 8 block, feel free to leave when the bell rings. Okay, but those who decide to stay, I will provide you with a pass. All right. So just let you know, our last one, eating, we always go a little long. Okay. All right. So, those who remember, Carlton Jones from Fresno Fire Department has been to several of our speaker series. Okay, he has also, out of the graciousness of his heart, donated our food and brought that in today. So I want to thank him. Okay, and those of you who were here last year, you may also remember that he announced that he would honor 2 of our students with a custom pair of shoes. Okay, Ms. Chambers, our BSU advisor, has selected 2 very highly accomplished and qualified students to receive such an honor. Okay, so at this time, we'll have Kylie Roberts and Ashton Hall. Go ahead and come forward, and you'll receive. Okay, AJ, can you get a picture with them? Okay, if you can open those up, and AJ will get a couple of shots. Okay, so Kylie's gonna show us her customs. Ashton's gonna show us his customs. Okay, there we go. So you guys know, and you guys know that Kylie Roberts serves as our ASB president as well as our BSU president. Okay, Ashton Hall, okay, and all of his academic accomplishments, okay, as well as being in our work studies program on campus. These are both two of our quality students. So I thank Carlton Jones, and I think he is trying to signal his son to see if he can get a photo. But I don't think he. We got photos by AJ. He will. Okay. You know, I'll share them. All right. Congratulations to Ashton and Kylie. Kylie will have to be a little loud. You want me to read the questions? All right. All right, guys. So Kylie is going to ask our panel our questions today.
So we have heard a little bit about you guys' background from the introduction, but if you guys would like to go more in depth and tell us more about yourselves and who you are, please start with Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, and in the background, one thing I was noticing when I forgot to say, I do have a BS, but I didn't say what school I graduated from. And it was I graduated from Cal State Press back in '93. So I guess the one thing I would emphasize, I was born and raised here in the Valley. Grew up on the west side of King Jensen. Just that, you know, I'm honored to be here to talk to you guys. Just to give you guys a kind of a heads up, being in the same position you guys were years ago in the library, talking about what your careers are going to be. And it's my privilege to be here. I've been happily married for the past 30 years. I have 2 kids. My son's older, and my daughter is older now. So I'm working at becoming what I call empty nester, not for my kids. So I'm in a transitional period. Oh, I'm in a transitional period for that. So with that, just about all I would add to that. That's your question. Give some kind of insight on what you guys want in your career, and at the same time, you to decide what I do and how I was able to do what I did with the help of people, and just having that goal that I want to achieve.
Oh. Can you hear me in the back? Yes, very well. Okay, thank you. So again, my name is Therese Stevenson, and I proudly serve as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at Fresno State. I have been at Fresno State since September. So I recently relocated to California, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Anybody ever heard of the Ohio State Buckeyes, the football team? Well, I'm from Columbus, and that's where Ohio State is housed. So as my intro shared, I've been in higher ed for 25 plus years, but I try to reach students by utilizing current social trends. So recently I gave a talk on the life lessons, and it's entitled The World According to Faye and Drizzy, and it's life lessons from the lyrics of Beyonce and Drake. So I'll be happy to come and give you that presentation as well. So, but I have never stopped learning after I pursued my bachelor's degree, and after I completed my master's degree, I actually went to law school for a year and decided I really didn't like it. And so I transitioned, and now I am pursuing my doctorate in education. And I don't know about you, but I love being in school. Anybody else love being in school? Yeah. Well, even if you're not in school, you'll always be a learner of life. So never shy away from reading or watching things that are good documentaries to give you information and history. Has anybody ever heard of the term Sankofa? No? Well, it means to learn from your history, to know where you are in your present, to help define your future. So that's why it's important that you be a learner of life and a learner of history, so you know how you got where you are and where you're going to go.
All right, and my name is Carlton Jones. I've had the pleasure to speaking to you guys the last couple of years. Last year, I made 2 promises that I would bring food with me and I would bring gifts. I've kept my promise. Also, last year, you guys promised me that you would listen to a Martin Luther King speech titled Your Life's Blueprint. Did anybody go back and listen to that speech? All right, so make a promise to me this year that sometime after here, because it's a very important speech. We're more than just a dream. We're more than just the past the media wants to make us. And that speech is so important. The message is so important. I think you guys would be honored to hear something like that. A little bit about myself that wasn't in my background. I am from Tulare. I started my career as a firefighter at 20 years old. So just a couple of years out of high school, I became a firefighter. I've been a firefighter this year will make 30 years. And the first half of my career life has all been about service. I was a council member for 12 years. I became one of the youngest council members in Tulare. I became the first African-American mayor in the history of Tulare. I've served as an association president for Tulare Fire Department, where I started, and I was the first African-American union president for Fresno Fire Department. So the first part of my life has been all about service for others. I adopted my 3 nieces and nephews. Before I even had kids, I had 3, and they were a blessing. And total today, I have 8 kids. I've been a firefighter for 30 years. 2 years ago, I decided to go back to school, and because I was so busy when I went, I was busy and broke, and now I can afford to go to school. So I just graduated from Fresno City, and now I'm attending Morehouse University at 50 years old.
So we've heard about you guys' careers. Have you guys faced any pushback going into those careers? Starting from,
Have I had any pushback in my career? Absolutely. So I've had pushback because I am a woman and because I am a woman of color. And I always took on leadership positions when I was younger. So then I had the issue of being too young to be a leader. So I always was questioned about my education, my experience. And sometimes people would just do it directly and say, you know, how did you get in this position? Or what type of qualities or characteristics do you have to have this position? And then sometimes people kind of do it slick, you know, like, never met anyone as young as you who's a director or who is a manager. But I've always tried to redirect that back to the issue at hand. And I found that that's always best, because my mom told me you can't meet ignorance with stupidity. So you always have to bring it back around. Now, the other thing is, I know sometimes we want to immediately clap back, and that's easy to do, but I always try to use humor to change up that space. So when someone challenges me and says, well, what are your credentials to be able to speak on this topic? And I said, well, you know, with my 25 plus years of higher education, and considering that I've worked at over 7 institutions and served on these various committees, including some national organizations, and I'm able to rattle those things off very quickly, then it kind of, you know, stops the chirping a little bit, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that helpful?
Yes. Mr. Jones.
Repeat the question for me. Okay.
Have you faced any pushback going into your career?
Yes, yeah. So I'm in a career where the African American population is very low, but because of the temerity that I was raised with, and that's the confidence that you have to have in yourself. I went to a school where, like from a very young age, where they just preached and powered into your head that you're important and you're somebody, and there's going to be pushback. By the time I got to the age where I was ready to apply to the career that I wanted, I knew I loved it, I became the pushback. So if there was a hurdle in front of me, or there was someone standing that didn't want me to get that job, the pushback that I gave them was a lot stronger than the pushback that they were willing to give me. So going into something, I tell myself right out the gate, if it's a door to be kicked open, I'm gonna stump it. If it's somebody to be climbed over, I'm stumping them down to the ground. Once I decide that this is what I want to do, and it's something that I love, there is nothing that's gonna keep me from it. Nothing at all. So if I want it, I am the pushback.
For me, I don't know. I'm just try to talk loud. Is this loud? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
For me, a lot of times it was, especially going into engineering and science field, there was always, I got pushback from my professors because a lot of times when I would go in a class, they would say, you know, I strong your math background. I've had professors that have rated me a certain way, and I've had to sit down with them and ask them specific questions. But the one thing that I always had my goal in my mind was to get into engineering and to be able to get through my classes. So when you get that kind of pushback, it's good to stand up for yourself, but be very specific in showing exactly what you know. If you're very specific and you know what you're talking about, they have to cavitate to it. And that's what I always did. A lot of times, early in my career, I worked for the Department of Health Services as an engineer for drinking water systems. So I would go down to the Bakersfield area and do a lot of inspections. And a lot of the people who own these big systems like Cal Water Service and everything, the first thing they would do is ask you a question, well, how long have you been an engineer? Because I was an inspector. And a lot of times as an inspector, you're supposed to make sure they're doing things properly. You have to ask a question that doesn't, it's got to be an end around question, because they'll say, oh, this is working fine. I'll say, well, that's funny. I thought that we usually use this type of procedure and that type of procedure, just to kind of let them know I know exactly what's supposed to be happening. And once they see that, they turn around and they try to let you know what's going on. So I would say pushback has always been knowledge for me, knowing what you need to know. You're going to go in situations, especially in engineering, it's not good enough to understand how to do the problem. It's good enough to know the why in the background. That way you can give the extra level of understanding when you are given problems or you're getting pushback.
So as we do have Fresno City counselors who need to get in here. We're going to ask 2 more questions. So if we get those 30-second answers, if we can.
Okay, this will be a 2-part question. One is, what inspired you to go into your profession? And the second part is, did you ever second guess or have concerns about going into that profession?
I'll start.
Yes.
Right, so I knew from the time I was like, the first time you had ever asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would have said a fireman. That's all I ever remember wanting to do. And there's never been a second guess for me of going into the field. There was a time in my field where I questioned, is this something I want to do? And that there came a point, being born and raised in Tulare, and firefighters respond to shootings. We respond to heart attacks. So I responded to a shooting where kids that I grew up with, and I knew them, and I'm in this house, and my friend his head is shot off, and I'm working on him right in front of the lady who used to make me breakfast on the way to school. That moment I had to be like, is this something that I want to be doing? Then there came a point to where all in Tulare, where every weekend firefighters go out and try to be in the community and eat breakfast. So we're out in a community, we get a call for a heart attack. I get to this resident, see my dad's pickup truck, and it's my dad had a heart attack. And so I had to do CPR on my own father. And at that moment, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. But I get home, take care of the funeral. The brothers that I grew up with in the fire department surrounded me, helped me out, became family forever. At that moment, I realized that my career is more than just a job, that we're a family. These guys are going to make sure I go home to my family. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure they go home to theirs. And I've been solid ever since. But there's, it's a job where it's not all riding on a fire engine and people waving at you and sirens. You deal with some insane stuff. And it's the only thing that ever shook me, but nothing ever changed.
Alex.
I think for me, there was a time that I questioned my career. Was my last year of school. I was doing my senior project, and I finally got to a point where I graduated, but I had to finish my senior project that I had interviewed, had the job ready to go, and my professor was taking all day and all night to finish my senior project. Basically, stalling, and I was getting very kind of fed up because I was going to use this part of my career because my professor is taking all day to keep me having rewrites and rewrites and rewrites. So I was very discouraged. I called my mom up and I said, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. And my mom was very confident and said, you know what, if they put that obstacle, we'll head back. If we have to do another year, we'll do another year. So why don't you talk to your boss and ask him, what you're going through. So I talked to my supervisor, told him that, I still haven't gotten my degree because my professor's taking all day to agree to get my project through. So all he did was get on the phone, call the school up, and the next day I had to sign. So that tells you from a standpoint that, there are certain things that don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And at the same time, understand if there's an obstacle in the way, there are people there that will help you. And that helped me kind of move forward in my career. That's the one thing that sticks out in my mind the most.
Yeah, so as I shared, I love to learn, love to read. And so my aunt gave me the best career advice. She said, find something that you love and then find something you can do professionally that will pay you. That's not a job, it's a career. So I love to be in school, I love to read. So now why not work at a university? And it also helps that I've been able to travel as well as meet lots of famous people. So that's been a plus as well. And on the days that I feel like, why am I doing this? There's no thank you in here. I get a call from a former student telling me something wonderful that's going on with them, or I get to come and speak to you, wonderful students. And it just reminds me that I need to be a part of the solution in shaping our future leaders. And so that's why I keep on.
So the last question is, what would be some advice that you may have wanted to tell your teenage self that you can tell us today?
Okay. The one thing advice that I would give me is to not feel you can do it alone. Get help early. Don't be worried about getting a tutor to get through your schooling. Always be willing to ask questions. I was a very shy kid, so I always felt when I was failing, it was all my fault. And I'd internalize it. Don't do that. There's people here to help you, and just reach out. That would be the main thing.
So I'm a meme person. Anybody else a meme person? Love a good meme. And so I always share these top 3 with students that I would tell myself at 18. The first is, don't wait on nobody and don't hate on nobody. The second would be some people love drama and they treat it like oxygen. Do what you do and suffocate them. And the third thing is always hustle so that your bank account looks like a phone number.
So if I had to go back to my 18-year-old self and give him advice, the first thing I would tell him is, you're doing all right. And I tell myself that every morning, you're doing all right. And my goal is always to do better today than I did yesterday. And I'm only competing against me. I love myself, and I have since I was 18. I've had some wins, I've had some losses. I would go back and tell myself the same thing: stay clean, stay sober, and stay dedicated. That's it. I mean, life, the win is that easy. The second you put something in yourself that changes who you are, then you're off track. And until you find out who you are again, you're gonna be off track. But self-love will guide everything. Somebody will offer you something. It's the love for yourself that'll make you say no. There'll be an opportunity that you need to jump for, and it's the love for yourself that